Chapter 1. The Photograph and the Paragraph. The Backrooms. Lore explained. There is a photograph. It shows a large, empty room. The carpet is a damp, mottled yellow. The walls are painted that same insistent shade, the color of old mustard or a fading bruise. Above, a dropped ceiling of panels and fluorescent tubes hums at a frequency that sits just below comfort, just above silence. There are no windows. There are no exits visible. There is no one there. This image circulated across internet forums for years before anyone gave it a name. It was eventually traced to a renovation blog for a Hobbytown hobby store in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, where a friend of the owner had photographed a former furniture store under renovation in the early 2000s. The photograph drifted through the early internet, passed from thread to thread, accumulating a particular kind of dread. It did not look like a place where something terrible had happened. It looked like a place where nothing had ever happened, and where nothing ever would. That was the horror. On May 12, 2019, an anonymous user on the 4chan paranormal board posted that photograph alongside an instruction, asking visitors to share images that just felt off. Shortly after, another anonymous user replied with the image of that yellow room and a short piece of text. That reply became one of the most reproduced pieces of horror writing the internet has produced. It read, "If you are not careful and you noclip out of reality in the wrong areas, you will end up in the backrooms, where it is nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you." That is the whole of the original Backrooms. A photograph, paragraph. The rest is what happened after. The mechanism, noclipping out of reality. To understand the Backrooms, you have to understand the concept of noclipping. In video game terminology, noclipping is a glitch or cheat mode in which a player character passes through solid geometry, phasing through walls, floors, and boundaries that were never meant to be crossed. When you noclip in a game, you fall out of the designed world and into the void behind it, that empty developer space where unfinished assets float in darkness and the architecture of the game shows its seams. The original Backrooms mythology applied this idea to reality itself. The premise is that our physical world, like a video game, has boundaries. Most of the time, these boundaries are invisible and impassable. But in certain places, at certain moments, under conditions that are never fully explained, a person can phase through. They step wrong. They lean into a corner at the wrong angle. They pass through a doorway that should not lead where it leads. And they fall out of reality. What they fall into is the Backrooms. The community that formed around this idea over the following years expanded on the concept of entry points considerably. You cannot choose to noclip. It is not a door you can find and open deliberately, though various factions within the lore have spent enormous resources trying to do exactly that. Entry is, at its core, accidental. People vanish from parking garages, from office corridors, from hotel hallways, from anywhere that carries the faint aesthetic residue of somewhere you have been before but cannot quite place. The Backrooms pulls at that feeling of misremembered familiarity. It is built from the bones of every place you almost remember. Those who fall in are called wanderers. The reverse process, finding a noclip point that leads back to the world outside, is called returning to the front rooms. The front rooms is the community's term for ordinary reality. The relationship between the two is not symmetrical. Falling into the Backrooms requires only inattention and bad luck. Getting back out requires knowledge, preparation, and a degree of fortune that most wanderers never accumulate. Many never return at all. Cosmology and legacy. A liminal space, in its original anthropological meaning, is a threshold, a place of transition between two states. Airports, hospital corridors, parking garages, hotel hallways, shopping malls before opening or after closing, stairwells between floors, laundromats at 3 in the morning. These are places designed for passing through, not for inhabiting. When they appear in photographs emptied of people, something in human pattern recognition registers the absence as wrong. The hashtag for liminal spaces accumulated nearly 100 million views on TikTok in the years following the original creepypasta. Writers who commented on the cultural significance of the Backrooms noted its kinship with the literary tradition of the uncanny, that specific unsettling quality of the familiar made strange. PC Gamer compared its various levels to the dreamlike architecture of H.P. Lovecraft's Sunken City Relaya and to the vast urban labyrinths of the manga Blame, describing the Backrooms as an uncanny valley of place rather than of person. The television series Severance, whose creator Dan Erickson named the Backrooms as one of his influences, extracts much of its horror from the same source, a corporate office space that should be familiar but is instead wrong in ways that take time to locate and longer to articulate. The Backrooms mythology found its largest moment of mainstream exposure when a 16-year-old filmmaker named Kane Parsons uploaded a found-footage short film to YouTube in January 2022, presenting footage allegedly recovered from 1995 of a young man who had stumbled through a rift in reality into the yellow corridors. The film accumulated over 73 million views, was called the scariest video on the internet, and brought the Backrooms to audiences far beyond the communities that had been building its mythology for years. A film adaptation, directed by Parsons and distributed by A24, is scheduled for theatrical release on May 29, 2026. The Backrooms also demonstrated something important about how horror mythology propagates in the internet age. The SCP Foundation, which pioneered the collaborative horror wiki format the Backrooms community adapted, began with a single piece of writing and grew into a vast interconnected mythos through years of structured contribution. The Backrooms achieved something comparable but faster, and without a formal governance structure. The lack of canonical authority was both a weakness, making it difficult to distinguish authentic storytelling from expansion for its own sake, and a strength, allowing the mythology to branch and mutate in response to whatever was most frightening to whatever community was writing it at any given moment. It is a horror built for an era in which no single authoritative voice can hold an audience's complete attention, so the horror distributes itself instead, spreading across wikis and YouTube channels and TikTok videos and Discord servers, finding new forms for each new platform while maintaining the recognizable spine of its original image. A yellow room, fluorescent lights, the sound of something in the next corridor that has heard you even though you have not yet heard it. The Backrooms does not answer its own question. That is why it has sustained years of collaborative expansion and a cultural moment that is still accelerating. The image of a yellow room with fluorescent lights and wet carpet is not frightening on its own. What is frightening is the paragraph that accompanied it, and the single fact at the heart of that paragraph. Approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms. Not dark rooms, empty ones. Something was there. The carpet remembers. Chapter 7. The Factions. There are also entities that have developed their own organized societies. The Licheen are humanoid beetles of extraordinary intelligence who have maintained an isolated, communal civilization in the Backrooms for centuries. They are described as flower people, Luddite in their social structure and deeply suspicious of outside contact. The state of Nautica is an underwater society of bipedal aquatic entities occupying the sea levels, operating ships and maintaining settlements beneath the surface of level 7 and related water levels. They wear scuba suits to appear less alarming to surface dwellers, which is a detail that manages to be both considerate and deeply unsettling. The Backrooms is not simply a maze through which humans stumble. It is an inhabited world with political arrangements and histories of conflict that long predate any human presence, and with the layered complexity of a place that has been home to many different kinds of life across a span of time that the available documentation cannot fully account for. The cosmology. What is the Backrooms? The mythology that has accumulated around the Backrooms over years of collaborative expansion does not offer a single coherent answer to its most fundamental question. What is this place? Where did it come from? Why does it exist? The community wiki tradition has produced multiple competing canons, each with its own cosmological framework. Some interpretations position the Backrooms as a dimension that has always existed alongside human reality, a parallel space that human architecture has always been unconsciously echoing. Others frame it as something that was created, either deliberately or as a byproduct of some event in the deep past, with the implication that its creation left echoes in human design and memory that we experience as the uncanny feeling of familiar empty spaces. A small number of the more developed canons include theological frameworks. The Pantheon is a group of godlike entities that once governed the Backrooms, venerated for ages by the earliest human inhabitants, before a force referred to as the Iron Fist revolted against them and scattered them across the levels. Today, the former gods of the Pantheon are described as reduced to shells of their former power, wandering the same spaces that once belonged to them, their authority dissolved and their purposes obscured. The entities who once constituted divine order are now simply more things in the dark. What the levels suggest, to those who have spent enough time moving through them, is that the Backrooms was once organized. There is too much consistent architecture for pure randomness. The fluorescent lights were installed. The carpet was laid. The pipes in level 2 carry something from somewhere to somewhere else, and that logic implies purpose. The office furniture of level 4 was chosen by someone for a space that was being actively used. The hotel of level 5 was built to receive guests. All of this implies not just age but intention. And then the intention stopped. Whatever governed this place, whatever organized it, is gone. What remains is the infrastructure of a world that was designed for occupants who no longer occupy it, decaying at the pace of something that has been running on its own for a very long time. The entities fill the space that was left. The wanderers arrive by accident, and the levels continue to shift and breathe and generate new rooms at their edges, as though the Backrooms is still trying to become something, still in the process of expanding toward a purpose it can no longer remember. The liminal aesthetic and cultural legacy. The Backrooms did not create the concept of liminal space, but it named it in a way that the internet could hold on to, and in doing so it brought a decades-old tradition of architectural unease into focused public consciousness. Chapter 6. The Entities. The Skin Stealers represent the Backrooms at its most conceptually disturbing. They look like humans. Not approximately human, not humanoid in the way facialinks are, but convincingly human, in posture and proportion and apparent behavior. The detection methods documented in survivor accounts are subtle: a slight wrongness in the movement of the neck, an interval of stillness that is slightly too long, a voice that sounds exactly right but carries something else underneath the words. Skin stealers are encountered across multiple levels. They are never friendly. The partygoers are found in Level Fun, one of the anomalous levels beyond the standard numbering. Level Fun is a children's party venue, bright and loud and decorated in primary colors, and the partygoers are its native inhabitants. They are tall, wearing party hats and costumes, moving with a frantic energy that never settles. They celebrate endlessly. The celebration is not benign. The noise of Level Fun is described as a specific kind of madness, an assault of forced cheer that breaks down resistance with a patience that purely violent entities cannot match. The sanguine festivus virus, which transforms its victims into something resembling partygoers, is the mechanism by which Level Fun extends its reach into other levels. What all of the Backrooms entities share, across their enormous variety of form and behavior, is an indifference to human frameworks of understanding. They do not explain themselves. They do not negotiate. They exist in this space on terms that were established long before any human arrived here, and those terms do not include the survival or comfort of wanderers. The factions, human order in an inhuman place. One of the most significant expansions of the Backrooms mythology beyond its original single image is the development of human factions, groups of wanderers and long-term residents who have organized themselves into institutions, militias, and communities within the levels. The largest and most significant of these is the Major Explorer Group, universally referred to as the MEG. The MEG functions as the closest thing the Backrooms has to a central governing authority for its human population. It maintains outposts across dozens of levels, catalogs entities and level properties, establishes safety protocols, recruits new wanderers, and coordinates rescue and supply operations throughout the known Backrooms. The MEG is not benevolent in any simple sense. It is an institution with all the bureaucratic inertia, political maneuvering, and capacity for failure that institutions carry. But it is the primary infrastructure of organized human survival in a place that would prefer to consume humans one by one. The Entity Research Committee, allied with the MEG, focuses specifically on the documentation and study of entities. Their outposts are scattered across dozens of levels, and their records form the basis of most of what wanderers know about which entities to avoid and how. The Backrooms Wanderers organization takes a more openly adventurous posture than the MEG's largely defensive orientation, focusing on exploration and the discovery of new levels. Relations between the BWO and the MEG are cordial but competitive. The Party Crashers are a militia founded in direct response to the Sanguine Festivus virus spread by the entity population of Level Fun. Founded in 1919 within the Backrooms' own internal chronology, the Party Crashers have fought extended campaigns to contain outbreaks and exterminate infected individuals, and their history includes what the community records as the Euphoric Wars, a prolonged period of mass conflict that spanned a significant portion of the known Backrooms and caused casualties on a scale that the Backrooms had not previously seen from its human population. Chapter 5, The Main Nine, Part 3. Level 8, The Caves, is the deepest and most dangerous of the Main Nine. It is an enormous network of underground caverns, and it is home to nearly every entity found in the levels above it, concentrated here alongside creatures found nowhere else. The camo crawlers blend with the rock walls and move on 4 limbs, nearly invisible until they move. The Paralai are parasitic and serpentine. The entity communities of Level 8 form something approaching an ecosystem, predators and prey cycling through the dark in patterns that have been partially mapped but never fully understood. Survival rates for unprepared wanderers entering Level 8 are among the lowest recorded for any level. Level 9 closes the Main Nine with a strange mercy. It is a meadow or something that presents as an outdoor space of long grass and soft light under a sky that has no sun but is somehow not dark. After the crushing architecture of the levels above it, wanderers who reach Level 9 describe an almost painful relief at the open sky. The entities here are fewer and less immediately aggressive. The air is different. The silence is not oppressive but merely quiet, the way quiet is supposed to feel. But Level 9 is not safe, and its gentleness is a form of deception. The calm it offers is the calm of exhaustion. And from Level 9, the descent continues. There are hundreds more levels beyond the Main Nine, each documented and categorized, each with its own particular argument for why the Backrooms is something that should not exist. The entities. The Backrooms is not empty. Whatever it is, wherever it came from, it has been occupied for a very long time by things that are not human, and those things do not welcome the arrival of wanderers. The entities of the Backrooms are cataloged by the community's in-fiction research institutions with the same clinical methodology applied to levels, each one assigned a number, a name, and a habitat classification. But the diversity of entities across hundreds of documented levels resists easy summary. What can be said is that they tend to cluster around certain archetypes, and those archetypes reflect the particular horror logic of the Backrooms as a space. The Smilers are among the most emblematic. In darkness, at sufficient distance, a pair of luminous eyes and a wide, fixed grin become visible. The Smiler does not always approach immediately. It watches. The interval between the appearance of its eyes and any further movement is highly variable, and that variability is itself a tool, because the human nervous system finds the wait almost harder to endure than the approach. Smilers are found across many levels and are reliably triggered by direct eye contact. The recommended response is to avoid looking directly at them and to move calmly toward a source of light. Calmly. The documentation always specifies calmly. The facelinks are humanoid figures encountered across multiple levels. They are bipedal. They move with human mechanics. But where a human face would be, there is a smooth, unbroken surface of skin. Facelinks exist in docile and hostile variants, and the inability to distinguish between them by facial expression, because they have none, is a core feature of the threat they pose. Some documented encounters describe facelinks ignoring wanderers entirely. Others describe the hostile variants attacking with speed and force that their apparently human bodies do not seem to suggest they should be capable of. The documentation recommends treating every faceling as a potential hostile and behaving accordingly, which means not running, not making sudden movements, and not attempting to determine which type you are dealing with by waiting to see what happens. The hounds of Level 0 are dog-shaped, approximately. They move with the gait of large canines and can be heard before they are seen, a distant sound that echoes through the yellow corridors in ways that make accurate location impossible. They are attracted by noise. They hunt by sound. The survival advice for encounters with hounds is consistent across sources. Do not run, do not make noise, do not look directly at them, And if they look at you, whatever you see where a dog's eyes would be, do not react to it. Chapter 4. The Main 9. Part 2. Level 4. The abandoned office is accessed through a specific door in Level 3 marked office sector. It looks precisely like what its name suggests. An empty corporate office building, fluorescent lit, carpeted in gray, populated by the kind of furniture that was chosen by committee and purchased in bulk. Cubicle dividers, filing cabinets, wheeled chairs pushed slightly away from desks, as though their occupants stepped away from their workstations and simply never returned. The horror of Level 4 is subtle. Its windows look out on an exterior that does not exist, a weather system running through seasonal cycles with no sky above it. Rain falls against the glass. Snow accumulates on window ledges. Nothing is outside. The weather continues anyway. Level 5 is known as Terror Hotel, and it is where the Backrooms begins to introduce a more baroque and elaborate scale of horror. It presents as a vast hotel complex from the 1930s, corridors of numbered doors extending into distances that do not match any reasonable building footprint, with furniture dating to the 1920s and soft jazz playing through vintage speakers connected to a system whose power source cannot be located. The level is oddly pristine for a place this deep into the Backrooms. Surfaces clean themselves. Dust disappears. The smooth jazz changes tracks at random. And beneath the maintained surface of all of it, something is deeply wrong. Level 5 is home to the death moths, enormous moth-like entities capable of spitting a corrosive acid, and to the growlers, aggressive predators that hunt through echolocation. It is also the level from which descent into Level 6 is most commonly reported, through the boiler rooms that occupy the lowest section of the hotel complex. Level 6 is called Lights Out, and it is, by the consensus of the community, the most purely terrifying of the foundational levels. The canonical description is precise in a way that leaves no room for misinterpretation. The level is in total and complete darkness. Not near darkness, not flickering emergency lighting, but an absolute blackness that has no floor or ceiling in the perceivable sense. Light sources brought into Level 6 have no function. Fires go out. Flashlights produce no illumination. Whatever property of the level absorbs light also absorbs sound. The silence of Level 6 is described as akin to a soundproof room, a silence so complete that the body begins generating its own noise in the absence of external input, a high-pitched internal hum that grows louder the longer a wanderer remains. There are no entities confirmed on Level 6. None have been documented. This does not comfort wanderers who have been through it, because the lack of entities does not explain why so few people leave. The level kills through isolation and sensory deprivation alone, acting on the human nervous system with a patience that purely physical threats cannot match. Wanderers who survive Level 6 typically do so by maintaining contact with a wall and moving steadily, refusing to stop, refusing to give in to the instruction their nervous system sends them to sit down and wait for something that is never going to come. Level 7, given the name thalassophobia after the fear of large bodies of water, offers a strange relief after Level 6. It is an ocean, not a lake, not a flooded basement, but a vast ocean suspended beneath a high concrete ceiling, extending in all directions without a visible shore. The entrance to Level 7 is a small room at the base of a staircase from Level 6, and it is the only reliable stable ground the level provides. From there, the ocean stretches outward into darkness. The ocean of Level 7 is not safe. Its two known entities are named the Thing on Level 7 and Tiny, and neither is interested in coexistence with wanderers. The Thing occupies the deeper water, where the light that diffuses through the level does not reach. Tiny hunts the shallower areas. Survival documentation recommends exploiting the Thing's extreme light sensitivity and Tiny's acute hearing, using these physical vulnerabilities to create windows of movement through the level without triggering pursuit. The tone of these survival recommendations is clinical. The tone of the first-hand accounts they are based on is not. Chapter 3. The Main 9, Part 1. Level 0, known as the lobby or sometimes the tutorial level, is the entry point. It is the yellow room from the photograph, multiplied into infinity. The rooms shift. The corridors rearrange. There is no consistent map because the map changes. The fluorescent lights hum overhead in their casings. The carpet is damp and smells of mildew. There are no entities on level 0 in the strictest sense, but there is something about the level that acts on the mind, a low-grade erosion of sanity that compounds with time. The longer a wanderer spends in level 0, the more the geometry seems to respond to their state of mind, tightening and loosening around them in ways that feel intentional but are never clearly directed. The level appears to be infinite. Wanderers who have attempted to map it report that corridors they have walked before appear in different configurations on their return, and that distances between remembered rooms expand and contract without explanation. The only sounds are the fluorescent lights and the soft, wet footfall of the carpet. Nothing moves. Nothing announces itself. And yet the level does not feel empty. It feels like a place from which something has just departed. The only escape is to find a noclip point that carries the wanderer down to level 1, or occasionally back to the front rooms entirely. Level 1, the habitable zone, is the first major shift in character. The yellow wallpaper gives way to a damp industrial warehouse, stretching out in all directions beneath low ceilings and through archways crowded with hanging pipes. The floor is concrete. Water pools in corners and in the depressions worn into the floor by years of foot traffic that should not have been possible in a place no one was supposed to know about. A low fog sits close to the ground. The fluorescent lights flicker here rather than humming steadily, and the intervals of darkness are when the entities emerge. Level 1 is the first level with a significant surviving population. Small communities have established themselves here, drawn by the relative accessibility of resources and the presence of noclip points to deeper levels. It is not safe, but it is survivable in a way that most of the backrooms is not. There is enough space to run. There is enough light to see by most of the time. There is, occasionally, the sound of other people. Level 2 is called Pipe Dreams. It looks like a maintenance network. Long tunnels of concrete lined with pipes of various sizes that carry unidentified substances in both directions. The temperature is significantly higher here than in the levels above, rising to a persistent and uncomfortable warmth that drains energy and shortens patience. The pipes knock and groan with the pressure of whatever moves through them. The darkness between the working lights is deeper and more dangerous than in level 1, and the entities that live in those shadows are more aggressive and more numerous. Wanderers pass through level 2 quickly when they can, using it as a transit zone between more livable spaces rather than a place to settle. Level 3, the electrical station, introduces the concept of a day and night cycle, a simulated rhythm of light and dark that has no clear mechanical source. During the bright hours, the level resembles an old industrial facility, full of electrical equipment in various states of function and disrepair, rooms divided by metal bars that give some areas the feeling of a prison. The machinery hums and sparks at intervals. Some of it appears to be doing something, though no one has been able to determine what. During the dark hours, the entities that avoid the light come out, and the level becomes something else entirely. The unique horror of level 3 is the wretch. A wretch is a human being so thoroughly broken by the psychological pressure of the backrooms that they have mutated into something that is no longer quite human. The process is not well understood. What is understood is that it is irreversible, that it happens faster to some wanderers than others, and that the wretches that result are hostile to everyone they encounter. The wretch is what happens when a wanderer gives up. It is a warning written in flesh, walking the dark hours of level 3 as proof of what prolonged exposure to the backrooms can do. Chapter 2. The nature of the backrooms. The nature of the backrooms. The backrooms is not a single place. That is the first and most important thing to understand. It is not one yellow room extending forever in all directions, though that is how it begins. The backrooms is a vast, layered, non-Euclidean structure of interconnected spatial anomalies, each with its own architecture, its own atmosphere, its own dangers, and its own rules. These layers are called levels. The community that expanded the backrooms mythology organized levels by number, borrowing a framework similar to the SCP Foundation, the long-running collaborative horror writing project that assigns clinical documentation to impossible things. The Backrooms Wiki operates on similar principles, treating its fictional world with the language of exploration reports, safety assessments, and survivor testimonies. Levels receive numbers. Entities receive numbers. Objects receive numbers. Everything is cataloged, as though the act of naming and categorizing something monstrous makes it marginally less monstrous. The physics of the backrooms do not match those of the world we know. Distances do not behave consistently. A hallway that appears to be 20 meters long may take hours to cross, or may fold back on itself in ways that Euclidean geometry cannot accommodate. Rooms that face each other across a corridor may not share a logical relationship with the rooms beside them. The architecture is not random exactly, but it operates according to rules that are not human rules. Wanderers who survive long enough to develop a working understanding of a given level often describe it as learning a new language, one with grammar but no dictionary. Time in the backrooms is inconsistent. Food does not seem to expire at the expected rate in most levels. Wounds heal at unpredictable speeds. Some levels appear to impose their own temporal rhythms, simulating day and night cycles despite having no visible sky. Others exist in permanent states of 1 hour or 1 season. The relationship between backrooms time and the time passing in the front rooms is not well understood. There are documented accounts of wanderers who returned to the front rooms to find that minutes had passed while they believed themselves trapped for weeks. The inverse has also been reported. The backrooms does not behave as though it is indifferent to the people inside it. That is the subtler horror beneath the obvious one. The geometry seems to notice wanderers. Levels shift in response to mental states. The darkness in certain areas thickens when someone is afraid. The silence in others deepens when someone listens too hard. Whether this constitutes something like intelligence, or whether it is merely the universe finding new ways to be hostile, is one of the questions the community's in-fiction researchers have never been able to answer. And then there is the substance that keeps wanderers alive when all else fails. Almond water, a pale, slightly cloudy liquid that appears at intervals throughout many levels, in bottles left on shelves, pooled in corners, dripping from pipes. Its origin is unknown. Its nutritional logic is unexplained. It restores something beyond just thirst, some measure of calm and cognitive function that pure hydration alone cannot account for. Wanderers drink it and live, and its presence throughout dozens of levels has made it the closest thing the backrooms has to a universal currency of survival. The main 9, the foundational levels. The broader community reached an informal consensus that the first 9 numbered levels form what is often called the main 9, the foundational geography of the backrooms and the framework against which all later expansions are understood. Beyond the main 9, there are hundreds of documented levels, some numbered, some anomalous and named only by their most distinctive feature. But the main 9 are where most wanderers begin, and where most of their understanding of the backrooms is formed.